was donations from the O'Brien family and the Batchelor family that made possible this extraordinary work of art. The museum is so grateful to the O'Briens and the Batchelors for their generosity. We're really especially thankful for Graydon Parrish. Graydon embodies a rare combination of insight, masterful skill, and a rare vision that gives us this extraordinary work of art today. Graydon, thank you for being here.
Sometimes I don't speak very loud because I'm in my studio a lot, and people in my class, which have been at Charles's series, some other people, Victoria was supposed to be here, but I don't know if she lied. But they always say that I talk very softly because I'm by myself all the time. And by contrast, I had a friend who's a school teacher in Brooklyn, and he talks very loud, so you can imagine the different types of careers that they have. I just want to thank you for being here and sharing September 11th in front of my work of art, which is very flattering. I want to thank you for being a part of this sort of communion. And two things I'm going to talk about my painting. One is how I did it, which a lot of people ask. And the second thing is about its symbolism, which a lot of people who aren't used to looking at allegory are curious about why I did it this way and what I meant to say. Of course, like any allegorical work, it's an evolution, and you can add, and what they call it, it's sort of a word that's called a palimpsest, which is something that is sort of rewritten. It's a book that's not new, but it's a book that's old, and you keep rewriting your own stories over and over again. So part of presenting this painting to you is about presenting a new palimpsest of symbols, of associations, of things that you can bring your own meaning. Because everybody here has a story about 9/11. I was just come back from New York, and I was in Amherst, Massachusetts with Don Pitkin, who's in the back, and he's one of my mentors, and he's actually in the painting, so you can ask him questions if he's willing to admit it. But we were sitting there watching the television, and I remember looking on the television and seeing these little tiny planes to me, very innocuous. I mean, it looked like, I'd heard on the radio, a plane hit the World Trade Center first, and we ran to watch the TV, and I thought, well, a little prop plane, because that's what had happened to the Empire State Building not too long ago. And I saw these little tiny planes, and then all of a sudden it hit the building, and it wasn't a little plane, it was an enormous plane, and it was dead, you just all of a sudden got this realization that these people were going to die, and it's really tragic and really hard for any human being, unless you've lost somebody in that event, to wrap your brain around this. I mean, it was an event I think is going to take us years and years and years as a country to understand. So I remember that time and how I thought how little the planes looked and what I was going to do, and I immediately thought that I needed to do something like this. And it was just, fortune that I came across. And I had a show in the New Graydon Museum of Art, and Douglas Hyland was such an instrumental person in bringing new types of art to Britain, and it was just this wonderful sort of synergy and serendipity and fortune that I was able to make this painting. Now, I wanted just to talk about what would happen, and I was debating whether I should talk about the symbols or whatever first, but I kind of wanted to talk to you about my odyssey as a painter. I mean, as you notice when you look around the room, my art is very different than a lot of 20th century, 21st century painting, and some people are very uncomfortable with that. When I grew up, I just became enamored with the old masters. I became enamored with figurative painting. I became enamored with life and symbols, and I was sort of in my own world, and I never realized that you couldn't do allegorical painting in the 21st century. I just thought, I did it. Everything's okay. We can do this too. But it was just very hard at the same time to find the training available to make a big painting. Plus, nobody that I knew had done one. So I was very ambitious and told the New Graydon Museum of Art, I'll just do this in 2 years. You guys can just, it'll be done, and everybody's going to celebrate it. And it took me 4 years to actually do this painting. What they did in the 19th century and up until the 20th century, certainly in the illustration world, which you see down in the corridor, there's some Leindecker and Rockwell and Cornwell, and there's a lot of people that are really great, is they learned a very systematic way of making pictures. They learned how to start with an idea, which was called a croquis, a little sketch, thumbnail sketch of either an art teacher or an artist themselves. And they would develop it and hone it and add ideas and bring in models and take this little sketch that was just an inspiration and try to sustain it, which is very much what I tried to do when I got this picture. I knew that I had to work on something disconcerting to me and tragic, and something that I felt very deeply with over a long period of time to bring it into that sort of resolution that I want. And I'll be happy to answer questions about both this and the symbolism later. But part of this odyssey is getting to know your subject and your painting and finding people and stories that you're interested in. And so what I did when I started to do this painting is I came up with a sketch, and I wanted it to be something that was both an allegorical piece, which meant that things can sort of stand as their own symbol, and also something that had unity. So I started with a small sketch, and then I did, what you have to do is come in and decide the models, and I had stories about every model in here. One of them was Adam, who was a neighbor of mine, and it was just, he had the most priceless little story. He was like 4 years old, and I had pulled all this sand in my studio, just buckets of sand, so I wanted people to stand and be very realistic. And he was there, and he just looked at me, and then he sat down and he started playing the sand. And I just said, you know, this isn't going to work, and I told his father to bring him back. And then the next time he came in, I had moved all the sand away and put a big yellow towel down, so I wanted the reflection. And he looked at me and he said, I know why you moved the sand. He said, you didn't want me to play in it. And the fact is that this was, what's interesting about this, again, is that we bring all our stories to things that happen, and we bring our stories to things that are like a painting. And Adam became woven into my palimpsest of ideas for 9/11. It became woven into the story of symbols and history. The one thing of an allegory is it's really a present, it's a reading of the present through the past. It's a punctuation of memories. It's not like something that we, it's not like a tape recording of the past. It's not a document of the past. It's a spotted memory, an evocation, just like a dream. Last night I had a dream. I had lots of anxiety, so I don't know what happens if you have anxiety dreams. When I was going back to Amherst College as an older student, I got my MFA, and I went to Amherst College at 24. And I used to have this dream of not finishing high school, and then I didn't finish high school, I didn't finish elementary school, and I was this big guy sitting at a little desk with all these 6-year-olds around me. Somehow I didn't finish it. But my memories come back, and then all of a sudden my grandmother was here, who was passed away in the same dream, and our memories are not unified. And they tell us things because they're not. They tell us about our anxiety today. So when we look back to the past, we look for references that reinforce the things that we're worried about. We're worried about tragedy today. We're thinking about our loved ones. We're thinking about things like that. We're thinking about how we could have prevented this. So we look at a child like this who's blind, and we kind of relate on some level. We have been this sort of clumsy person blindly going into the future. We've been this person who's been awkward with our toys. We've been this person where someone's given us a task that we don't understand. We've carried our implements of martyrdom through our lives. We've carried things that are a part of us as burdens. We carry things that are over life-size and cumbersome and don't seem to make sense. And that's what this figure on the front says.